Hi everyone, it's Duchess. If you're a gamer who buys video games physically or digitally, I've got some harsh truths to lay on you today that you may not want to hear. You don't actually own the video games you buy. For decades, we've operated under the assumption that when you buy a game, you own it, plain and simple. Whether it was a cartridge, CD, or disc, you paid your money and that game was yours to play whenever and however you wanted. But in the digital age of online platforms, subscription services, and day one patches, that core concept of ownership has become murkier than ever before. The hard reality is you don't actually own the video games you purchase anymore. They're more like limited licenses that can be revoked, altered, or deleted entirely at any time. Now I know that's a bold claim to make right out of the gate, but stick with me because I'm going to lay out examples, evidence, and analysis that unfortunately prove this new paradigm we've shifted into when it comes to video game ownership. We'll explore the harsh truths that companies can change, remove, or restrict access to products after you already paid for them. And we'll examine the threats this rental-like reality poses to game preservation and our ability to actually own pieces of gaming history. For those of us who grew up in the era of cartridges, discs, and memory cards, the idea of game ownership was simple. You went to the store, bought the box, and whatever format it came on, and that was yours. End of story. Remember the thrill of tearing off that fresh plastic wrap and popping in a brand new game for the first time? That sense of unbridled freedom to play it any way you wanted? If you felt like using a Game Genie or Game Shark to cheat your way through, those codes were your right as the owner. Want to lend that game to a friend or sell it off years later? No problem. It was your physical property to do with as you pleased. Games existed in a self-contained ecosystem. No online requirements or updates needed. You could beat that game, shelf it for decades, and be confident it will work the same way years down the road. Those plastic cartridges or discs were almost like gaming heirlooms to collect, hack, share, and pass down as you saw fit. True ownership in every sense of the word. But as we'll see, that golden age exists no more in our era of digital ownership. The erosion of true ownership didn't happen overnight, but slowly crept in through integration of always online requirements and mandatory updates. I first really noticed the change when I got a PS4 and could no longer simply pop in a disc and start playing right away. Instead, that game I had legally purchased on a Blu-ray disc would initiate a massive installation and download process before I could actually access the content. Sure, part of it made sense with game file sizes ballooning past the disk capacity limits, but it still felt wrong having to wait hours for a game I already owned to download buffers and patches over the internet. It was an early red flag that physical games were becoming more like software licenses requiring online verification and approvals from publishers. We were trading upfront ownership for a future promise of continued access, adding middleware between consumer and product, a dangerous bargain that risked buyers losing control over their physical purchases. But that PS4 disc dilemma was just the beginning of a Pandora's box that has ruptured wide open in the years since. By accepting those verification checks and online requirements, we granted publishers and platform holders ability to essentially revoke access to a game we purchased at any time. No longer were these offline self-contained experiences we fully owned and controlled. Now they exist in a nebulous online ecosystem where companies can alter, remove, or completely delist games from their stores and servers on a whim. It doesn't matter if you spent $60 or even $100 on a premium edition. That digital purchase can vanish into thin air if the company decides to sunset servers or delist the title. We've already seen it with cases like in 2018, when every single game published by Telltale Games was initially pulled from digital storefronts following the company's closure, though they were eventually relisted later by a new owner. Still, there was a period where customers were unable to access games they purchased. Furthermore, in the case of PT, Konami's hyped playable teaser for Silent Hills, it was controversially cancelled, but Konami took it one step further. They pulled PT from the PlayStation Store entirely in 2015, rendering it undownloadable for any of the million-plus gamers who originally added it to their libraries. The idea of game ownership gets even murkier when you look at the rise of subscription services like Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and EA Play. At first glance, these Netflix for games models seem incredibly consumer-friendly. Pay one low monthly fee and get access to a rotating library of games? What an amazing value! But strip away the shiny storefront and you're left with the harsh reality that you don't actually own any of these games. You're just renting temporary access to software licenses that can be altered, removed, or revoked at any time by the service providers. Sure, you can pay to keep your subscription consistently active, but the moment you stop subscriptions or get banned, that entire library of games vanishes. Any saved progress too, poof, gone. While console gamers are more recently grappling with the concept of not truly owning their purchases, this has been the reality for PC gamers for quite some time. Many digital PC game libraries on platforms like Steam or the Epic Games Store require an always-online internet connection to even access the title you've paid for. However, there was a time frame in the 2000s when buying a PC game on disc could sidestep some of those ownership restrictions. I remember building out my collection of The Sims 2 game and their expansion packs, installing them directly from the packaged disc without any online validation required. If I wanted to swap out expansion packs, I could simply uninstall and reinstall them at my convenience without any outside party's approval. Those plastic discs represented true ownership over the games contained within. I could back them up, manage the installations myself, and know that the experience will remain unaltered unless I chose to apply updates. The days of purchasing a physical cartridge or disc and having full, unfettered ownership over that contained game experience are essentially over. Even boxed console and PC releases now require online validation, updates, and connectivity that put power in the hands of corporations rather than consumers. But that's a video for another day. We've seen numerous examples, from PT to Telltale's entire catalog of digital purchases being abruptly delisted and rendered unplayable for those who paid real money, and subscription services like Game Pass foster an illusion of ownership over an expansive library that evaporates if you stop paying. Now, this video isn't to say gaming's digital future is all doom and gloom. Preservationists are fighting to back up and archive games, and services make the medium more affordable and accessible than ever. But we have to go into this new reality clear-eyed about the eroding ownership paradigm. What we're engaging in is more like extended digital rentals rather than purchases we fully control, so appreciate the unique Game Boy cartridges and burned DVDs you still own. Because for better or worse, the concept of game ownership is essentially already gone. We're just tenants with revocable licenses to the experience we pay for now. And that's my take on this. Thank you for watching the video. If you're someone who loves exploring the depths of the gaming community, hit that subscribe button below and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. See you guys later.